All right, thanks for coming to the elder meeting, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of the elders may be coming in during this time. Let I remind you, do not swear. This is going to be put on the YouTube channel and available for other elders who can't make it. If you can, try to mute your audio while you're not talking. That way we won't pick up background noise. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so the elder meeting for the end of July, we're going to try to do elder meetings at the last day of every month, unless it falls on a LARP weekend or something. We might try to do it on Sundays though, because I know a lot of the colonies from around the world can't make it. If we do it like on a weekday night, which turns into like middle of their day the next day. So doing it on a weekend at like noon might work out better or something. I don't know. But we'll try it if it falls on that date, which I think in August it does, if I recall. But we'll see. Let's see. We have nearly 3,000 profiles now. We got a lot of people coming in to the site and a lot of people asking basic questions. We moved the text portal, where people were doing role play. We tried to keep that open for general questions instead of role play. Basic information that was posted there is getting buried really quickly. And we do have another possible program that we could put on that would be like if you want to role play in groups, it would show up on the bottom of the bar that you can turn on and off when you're on the site. I believe I bought a license for it already. We just never used it because I think when we tried it, we thought it was crashing the server and it wasn't. It was something else. So I never put it back on. But you could create chat rooms in that little bar, and it might be something we'll try out. But because it works really, really well with the forums. Our summer games, well, depending, it's our summer. The summer games are going good almost everywhere. We have some problems with the Paris group, Paris, Tennessee. They want to host games, and the chief elders are nowhere to be found. So if you see them on, heads up. I think Ufnar was trying to find Eek. Eek has been MIA, so I don't know what's going on there. But it's a good example of when an elder or a chief elder drops off, like becomes non-existent, and we have all the social media and the marketing and all the stuff set up to try to bring people in. And when the elder team isn't there to answer questions, we have a situation. So people are asking, this is a good example with, what is that, Golden Mountain in California. We get a lot of questions about people wanting to start stuff in California. And now we got players wanting games in Tennessee, and there's, the elders are trying to take over. So try and keep that in mind if you could. Alex here, her and her boyfriend had their first game at Elmhome, and it was a great success. They did really good. And if you need any assistance in how to process your experience points and that kind of stuff, maybe we can, because we live in the same city, we can maybe just, it's easier to do it when you're together at like one computer or something. But if we want, we could also do it through a Zoom meeting, and I can go through how to do that because it's fairly simple, and then we can record it and then can use it for others. But you know, once you get the process down, it's usually not too big of a deal. And you recorded everything pretty well, so. How do you think your first event went?
I think it went really well. I mean, we thankfully we had a lot of people that knew what they were doing. And we've been talking to the people. This is kind of like a collaboration between us, Deep Light, we had Greycore from Midland, Greycore and Gork from Midland, and we all just kind of got together. And we've been talking probably for the past, like, pretty much since we figured out we were doing this, and every step of the way we were talking to each other, which really down to the wire really helped in what we were in, when the game started. Thankfully, we all pretty much knew what was going to go on. I think we had 28 players that came to the game and paid. We had some vendors that came and partially played, but all in all, I think we had 28 people total that came and for our first event paid in and played a little bit, NPCs and players total. But I think it went really well. I mean, we talked to the club, and they were really excited. Like, they weren't even worried about how much money we made for them. Like, their first question was, how did your event go? Not how we're like, oh, we made this much money for the club. And they were like, no, how did your event go? And we're like, oh, that's great. So they were really excited to see how much fun the people were having, and they were more focused on us having fun than them making a bunch of money. So that was really good to see too. So I think it went really well. I think they definitely want us to come back. So
good. That's what we like to hear. Yeah, you guys did a good job. Good coordination between everybody, and good communication, and that was fun. I mean, it was nice to just get back and just play, and yeah, it was a good time. Had we known that there wasn't going to be as many camp sites, we would have went closer to the village, but it was what it was. So we got a big event coming up this weekend for the Missouri, St. Louis, Tennessee group. They got a big game this weekend, and looking like it's going to have a pretty fair turnout. And it should be in relatively good. It should be really a good turnout. Looks like there's a lot of action-packed stuff happening. Everyone is excited, like it's posted in the chat there. And it's a good collaboration between all the colonies that are within a region. So the two regions that we do have are working fairly well together. So we're just trying to still fine-tune what it is a region can do and how it works. And we just got to try to, we know how it works. It's just we got to put it all on paper now of like, how do you make a region? What do you need to make a region? I think we got some of it, but I might want to look at it one more time. The updates on the website are coming along good. On LarpCraft.com, the new site is going to be quite a bit faster. It's going to respond to Google better, and it's going to be more like when you go on your cell phone, it'll look better than it does on its cell phone. Now, it looks okay, but you don't see the main content. So when it's like this big. So just diligently trying to work on that, and getting ready for for the Risen. We turned the Risen off right now. The tracking system is offline. I made a big boo-boo in some of the tracking coding, and I screwed it up a lot. So got to reinstall that. I was trying to update it, and I updated it from like a way old version to I didn't sequentially do it the way I was supposed to, so, but it's okay because there's nothing there anyway. But we got, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we're getting a ton of requests for the Risen to be done. And even though it's written out, it's going to be a while yet, because it's going to be a while yet. We had talked about a few different things. We got, I think, probably one of the frustrating things that is, we're talking a lot in the Elder section about new rules for 2015, and some of the stuff is just, you know, thoughts and ideas, but some of you are accustomed to thoughts and ideas becoming part of the playbook pretty quickly, and that's not the way it is anymore. So just if you have elders that are like worried because we're talking about a lot of different things, be sure to try to get them to chill out, because you know, these are just things we're talking about and trying to keep it friendly and proactive. So we've got a lot of good communication on a lot of different topics, and it's really neat to see that the group is working together pretty well. So if you have any ideas on stuff, you know, a lot of times if there's an idea, think about it, play test it in your backyard or whatever, or try to really visualize what's trying to be done before you make a post about it. That's what I try to do, because otherwise I'll respond to something and it'll come off wrong. So try to read and reread what you post before you post it, so you don't look like, you know, you're not trying to be aggressive. And I don't think anybody is. It's just the way it's coming across on some posts, and mine included. So even at the end of the post, you could just say, hey, man, it's cool. You know, just clear the air if your post gets a little thick at the end or in the beginning or whatever. And, you know, we're talking about all that stuff and trying to figure out where and how we're going to put this in the play. I think we're probably going to need the elders to get together probably a few more times in November, either through Zoom or get a few of the elders that are in a colony together to try to be together as a group. And then this group meets with that group on Zoom or something, you know, something where we get more people on here at one time as we try to do the rulemaking decisions and talking about, okay, this was really good. This looked really good on paper. We all voted for it. Now let's just talk about one more time to make sure, you know, revisit something that we talked about 6 months ago, you know, to make sure that it's still what we think it was supposed to be. And we're still trying to figure out this new system, because we want it to be where the elders and the chiefs and the overlords and the players can all work together on this stuff. And systematically, we've tried to take most of the ideas out of the player section and put it in the elder section. So if there's a good idea, we'll try to move it so that players, okay, if you get some insight, that's great, but players are really supposed to be giving insight at games. So you guys as elders should definitely encourage the players to say, if you got an idea, write it down, bring it to a game, bring it to a practice, bring it to something, because that's where it gets hashed out, because that's where the elders are. And then the elders can be like, hey, yeah, that's really cool, or ooh, yeah, we tried that, or ooh, that might not work. But players should bring it to the elders. They should not be bringing it to LarpCraft as the scrolls. So if you see somebody else doing that, try to do it in a friendly way. You can post in the question section as an elder. You can post and say, you know, typically bring it to a game. You know, write it down. Do that kind of stuff, and then they'll bring it up correctly. Oofnar! So yeah, but the process is working pretty good. Eventually, we want to have that LarpCon thing in November, which is going to be, they're like, oh, you know, we're going to take it and make this big thing. But in reality, we really need to just use it to sit down and be like, okay, what are we going to do for the next year? You know, try to hash out schedules, hash out the changes, and make sure everybody's on the same page. And we go like that. Hi, I'm in a meeting. Yeah, go back upstairs.
I just had cheese.
You just said cheese, huh? Awesome.
And the big cookies.
Yeah, you're gonna have cookies now?
Yeah.
All right. Go on up there and get the cookies.
When I, open them, I'll show you. I'll come right back.
What? Show mom. Sorry about that. So yeah, LarpCon, we really want to try to solidify LarpCon for this year to try to say, okay, in November, this is what do we got to do? You know, we talked about being a vendor fair and all this stuff, but then it just, you never get anything done. So it's not like, you know, do we want to run a fair? Do we want to run a show, or do we want to get stuff done? So I think, you know, we got Zoom, we got the tools, we got the people. Just get stuff done, I think. That would probably be more so. I mean, we vend at our games. We, you know, we're getting more players. You know, I don't necessarily know that we need a Comic-Con of LarpCraft. I mean, if you want that, just go to a game. You know, that's where the action is. And then we have to try to coordinate them all over the place, and that just is going to be kind of dreadful, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, LarpCon, definitely where all the elders want to get together and put something together to hash out the rules that we talk about. Ideally, we would want to, you know, put together the rules like that and just be like, okay, voting on this, okay, voting on this, okay, voting on this, done, 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 done. Put it in, because by the time we get to LarpCon, it should be everybody kind of knows what's happening, and we just do the final yay or nays. So, okay. No, I'm good, thank you though. So, yeah, we're just trying to. You got a lot of stuff happening here at the home office, but we don't have. Yeah, this isn't working. Okay, so if there's, like I said, we're all in the middle of our seasons up here in the Midwest. We actually have games now, and it was detrimental to have everything canceled out. Everybody's really sick of it. So, come hell or high water, we're going to hold games as long as it doesn't present a safety risk, which the other ones did. But if I was a better coordinator, I would have alternate sites set up, which I don't because I'm a jack and stuff. But hopefully we can rebound from what we had. Still got a lot of active users. We had a lot of people coming in from all over the place, putting together the new YouTube videos. That really helped having that action footage up. So if you guys have any action footage from your events and you want to post it, or you want help editing it, or whatever, you know, showing, you know, try to keep out the cars and try to keep out the power lines and try to have it where you're only seeing what you would see in the fantasy part, you know, and just take small snippets of that. You know, we have a lot of action shots, but I really wanted to concentrate this year on putting more emphasis on the skills, you know, the abilities that are in there, because that's really what is starting to become a highlight in the system, and we don't have any videos on any of it. So, yeah, we should concentrate on that. So, but
just really quick, I got some footage from the LARP I attended that you were hosting. Should I just send that to you sometime so you can do stuff with it? Because I don't really have the ability to, or the knowledge to edit it and stuff.
If you just throw it in a Dropbox, send me a link to your Dropbox or whatever. You can do it that way. You can do it through Google. You can do it that way. Don't try to email it though, because that won't work. Or you can upload it to YouTube and I can rip it off your YouTube. So that's how Carlos does it. That's the way we do it we did it with the Puerto Rican one and stuff. Because the stuff I have, I can just rip it. So just send me the link to wherever you put it up. I can pull it from just about any media source.
All right.
And then I'll try to incorporate it, put some nice logos in there, put some flash in there, you know, dress it all up real nice. And then, you know, like I did with the Elm Home video when we did the blow dart thing, in the description, I put the link to the colony's Facebook page, to the colony stuff. And you could probably put that more in the video too. I ran out of time. So there's a lot of action shots yet from Elm Home that I got to put together. So the more footage we have, we got a really large audience on the LarpCraft YouTube channel. So we want to try to get that audience to your sites, to your games, to your social media, you know, like, so we want to try to take that big audience that we have and use it to the best of our ability, get it to your sites and to your YouTubes and to your, you know, if you have your own YouTube channel and stuff, cool. You know, I'll just link it to yours because I can link it. It's nicer that way. I can link a YouTube video to a YouTube video through the, like you can click here and make it active. So, but still working on that, but that's a resource that's available. Let's see. The Chicago colonies are coming up. Looks like Jester's Hollow had a really good practice. Now Rosewood's gonna come up, or you know, one colony that worked with another colony that spawned something good. That now, you know, like the enthusiasm just keeps building, and that's really cool to see when a colony can play on another colony like that. And they got a really nice foam latex artist down there. They got a lot of cool. A lot of the cool artists. I've seen some of their, they got like a whole arsenal of practice weapons, and they, you know, it was really cool how they look really nice. So I'm pretty sure, I think that's latex. I don't think that's Plastidip actually, but yeah, anyway, it was going good. Iceland came on. The Isle of Wight actually submitted, we approved them to submit back XP because they were using the site in our game system for like a year. And so the last few games we gave them the XP. They bought the colony recharge kits, and I approved them to go ahead and issue back XP for those games based on their social media and the stuff. So there's kind of an influx of stuff from Iceland, but that was, you know, they finally got enough committed players to say, okay, let's use the tracking system. Let's go with it. And, you know, keeping it all together on pen and paper is really hard. They're probably trying to use spreadsheets. That's really hard. Trying to use their own program. Somebody was trying to use their own program. And, you know, anybody can keep track of stuff like this. That's not the issue. It's building a community that's worldwide. That's hard. And we're definitely not good at it. We're getting better at it, but, you know, it takes 10, 15, 20 years to build something like that. So we're on our way. Okay, with that being said, that's pretty much all I had for everything. Ufnar missed the thing I talked about with LarpCon and stuff. You don't have to look down. Just keep looking at the road. It's cool. Don't get into an accident, because that would suck, because we'd all see it, and that'd be bad. But yeah, if anybody has anything to say, I'm gonna mute my mic and ask any questions, say any thoughts, anything you got.
Ufnar go hunting. Ah.
There's gonna be a lot of dead carnage from Ufnar out of this weekend. He's gonna be collecting tons of bones and showing, maybe, yeah, ears, bones, noses, eyeballs, whatever he can come up with. It'd be funny. Ufnar had fun, and like holds up a bunch of people's heads and crap. Come to next game.
I'm so working on trying to acquire severed head props, faces, all that stuff, man. Yeah, because when I come to Esker, I want to put spikes with skulls and stuff all over my tent, all around it.
That'd be sweet. I got one head on a spike. We used it for Gandalhar, but it wasn't really a great prop. Spike kind of kept breaking.
Well, severed heads are kind of easy to come by. All you got to do is just take a mounting of your face and liquid latex. I've done it at a couple haunted houses I've been part of.
Maybe you could do a
It's been a
tutorial.
while since I've done a live cast.
I'm trying to do a life cast of Keldor, and Keldor won't shave his beard, but he knows he needs to do it. So it's going to be a sad day. I said, Keldor, just when you shave, you did the Stan Winston School of Character Arts. He did the beard and the hair. stuff. He knows how to do it. I'm like, just keep your beard. We'll make a fake beard, and you'll pluck it all back in, and then you can put your beard back on. It wasn't a bad idea. It was, I'm like, I bet you could make that look pretty darn real. So we'll see.
Man, I haven't slept like.
That's a scary freeze. Oh, that's Ufnar's undead right there. Look at that.
I'm a little disturbed a little bit.
That is seriously scary.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Is there a video coming out for poisoning weapons and other things like that? Because I've asked a few people, and I've gotten 2 different answers on how it goes.
I think that's something we talked about, right? Like, as you can see, I'm constantly trying to ask people stuff to see, is our way of doing things as efficient as we could, as I'm being annoying is what I'm doing. But I'm trying to see, with Magic, that sucked, and it sucked a lot. But overall, I think it's a better system now. Nobody wanted to do it. Everybody hated it. But I don't have anybody complaining anymore. Are you guys seeing any complaints on the Magic system? I mean, the initial change sucked and everybody complained, but I think overall it's easier to understand.
Yeah, I think mostly it's just people are starting to think of combinations of spells or how spells affect other spells type thing. Like, for instance, we had it happened during a practice, so we were able to pretty much common sense it. But what happens if Burn Circle and Water Wall collide? I said, then we have a fog of war on the field. But no, I think mostly people are getting a real good grasp now that it's really simplified. It's a lot less to have to think about. I'm not encountering any issues.
Yeah, and that's why we were, I'm like, okay, could we do it? This, just to give you guys a little history, when we first started, when we were like in, this is even before Ufnar came on, Seal Wolf was one of the big, like, okay, we got all these rules and we have all this achievements and it was like all this stuff. And he's like, why do you guys need to do that? Well, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's like, it's like a video game and we got to systematically do it. He's like, a lot of it, he just didn't get why we had to do it that way. I just thought it was crazy. But now I'm seeing that I've got more experience and seeing how they're doing it with a lot of the other types of games. If you can, use a sword, if you can wear armor, an achievement is going to make you good at it. Like if Ufnar and I battle and I have to use his axe and he has to use my huge sword, it's going to be a switch up. You know what I mean? If you get used to mechanics of how your preferred weapons are, and then you have to switch, it definitely puts a different flavor on the table and you're not as good, you're not as proficient, but that's why practices are so much better. So, that's why I asked the question. We had a lot of good responses and people saying stuff on both sides. So I think that's just pretty much going to come down to a vote.
Yeah, for those listening in and for those who are going to watch this later, I mean, I know we keep talking about achievements, level processing, blah, blah, blah. Sit back and take a look at some of the really successful LARPs. I'm not talking the U.S. battle games. I mean, look at Drakenfest. Look at Conquest of Methodia. These are massive games, and their rule set, like ours, is bare bones damn near. I mean, they don't require any restrictions on weapons, armor, anything like that. If you can pick it up and wield it, you can use it. Here's your stats. This armor's worth that. And as far as skills go, they keep like we do with the profession. Almost everything's grouped into professional style. You know, they don't necessarily label it, but they keep the mundane utility skills like your smithing abilities, basic first aid, stuff like that. Conquest actually has a pretty complicated magic system compared to ours. But I mean, if we were to take something like that that we know is successful and mold it to where it's going to work for us, I think in the long run, it's going to make it a lot smoother. I know my entire colony is 100% behind just removing the restrictions on weapons and armor as far as having to purchase the achievements. I mean, I just think it makes common sense. You can pick it up, you can use it, you can put it on, you can use it. Doesn't mean you're any good at it if you don't have real skill. This is, after all, a live action gaming event. It means you have to be able to do it.
And kind of taking a little bit step back, though, we did talk, we weren't really interested in changing the mechanics of like, okay, well, now a mage can wear plate. No, that we're still saying, that you don't need an achievement to do it, but still certain classes can only do certain things. Now, if we make the battle mage, or we can put special abilities into those classes to bring that cross-classing back, but then it's through the class, not through the weapon stuff. Like I was saying it's just way easier to put in one paragraph or one sentence and take out all that other stuff. It'll make it drastically more simple.
Absolutely.
I think, but it's a change, and I'm not, as much as I'm like, yeah, it's going to be way better, at the same time, it's going to suck because it's a change. So I'm not for change. I hate change. Now that we've changed it so many times, if you like change, you haven't done this long enough. That's where I'm at right now. But
I know when we finished 4.0, Artenin, myself, Ronan, I don't know, was Ronan actually there for had he stepped out? I don't remember. But either way, I know, just like we do every year, this is it. We're done. They're either going to like it, they're going to hate it. We don't care anymore. We're not changing it. Because it really is a stressful, the overlords, and when we do bring in the chiefs on trying to help us revise the rule book, we're talking very long hours, 6, 7, 8 hour cram sessions.
Multiple 6, 7, 8 hour cram sessions. And, it's still easy to change because we only got, 3,000 profiles. But when we have 30,000 profiles, changing this stuff is going to be impossible.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, okay, if we have a rule book that doesn't change anymore, we can then make an automated program to actually do stuff. Like the skills training center becomes a robot because it'll just check the database and do it. But because the database keeps changing, we can't invest the time or the programming to do it because it keeps changing. So once the core mechanics are set, I think it will be in better shape.
Right, but we're still a young system. I mean, we're only in our 5th year, I think.
Yeah, I think we made it through a lot of the small systems, the micro systems that you see. They die out in between 6 months and 2 years. So we've made it past that. Well-established systems are like 3 to 8 years. Very few systems make it to 10 years. So I am very confident we're going to be able to hit 10 years. The way we keep growing.
Well, it helps that we have these things going on constantly, where it's not one person or a couple of people just sitting back going like, "This is what we got." It's the community, and which will benefit everyone in the end. That if we continue to have throwbacks back and forth, it can never die because there's always fresh influence into it.
Yep. It's
Agreed.
a good formula. Good formula to do it that way. And again, we looked at how the successful ones do it, and this is kind of how they do it. If the community doesn't have a say, it fizzles. If 1 or 3 or 5 writers are in charge, but You know, there's a point where you need enough input, but then you have to take the input and do something with it, you know, and make it efficient and not get everybody pissed off. Doing it without pissing people off, that's the art. So we try, but you know, it's frustrating for everybody all around. But like you said, you know, if we can just talk about it like this, I can't read your emotions in your text. I will sound pissed off because I'll hit the keyboard harder and you'll see it. But essentially, you still won't know what I'm really trying. You won't know my feelings on that, you know. But
I don't know. I can tell you have a way of speaking.
Speaking, yes. When I'm
Okay,
really mad, I start swearing a lot.
Yeah,
That's
the system
easy.
stops you from doing that.
But yeah, that's not professional, though. You know, to try to
Right.
be like, if there's a problem, and this goes for all elders, if there's a problem or a feud between any elders in the community, you private message each other. If you're gonna sound like a total douchebag, communicate private message between, or get a hold of your chief, or talk with a few other elders first before you say something. I do that all the time now. I contact Lee or Will. And I'll be like, God, fucking blah, 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 blah. They're like, chill, got it off your chest, let it settle for a few days, and then it's better, usually.
Usually.
Done it to me, and Ronan still just kind of does it. Well, so do I. But, you know, as a group, as a community, we are there for each other. We're a support team for each other. So, you know, utilize your other elders for that. And if you're really pissed off about something, I mean, the passion is what keeps you in the game. So don't think that you're, you know, a system rule change and it pisses you off. Well, let's analyze it. Why are you pissed off? Because there's probably a good reason. So, you know, and if you're just afraid of change, that's one thing. But if you know, really know that something works, instead of just word puking, put an example of why it's working in the games. Because if you give examples, it's hard to battle that, you know. So, but we're trying to work through it. We're getting better at it. Hopefully, when we hit the 30,000 profiles, we're going to be aces at this stuff. You know, we'll all be the Gandalfs of back in my day. But you know, it's like you said, we're still kind of edgy because we're new, and the team is new, and the elders are new. We have new elders coming in. That's one thing I'd like to do too, is try to put more of the elder training stuff like that, like what I just said. Okay, Elders 101. When you post to other elders, don't word puke. Private message them if you got something to say that may not come across well, or give them a call. You know.
I drive around many hours a day wishing somebody would talk to me. So,
okay, so on this video on the bottom, there's going to be Lee's personal cell phone number. When you are lonely.
Now, if you guys have questions, concerns, I mean, I'm an on-the-road IT guy. If I'm actually on a call, you know, I won't answer, but I do call back. You guys can hit me up on Facebook. I would say private message me on Scrolls, but I don't get notifications immediately. It's like an hour out, so you're already frustrated, but he's not listening by the time I actually realize it. So, but yeah, it's always an open invitation. It's not just me. All the overlords, your other chiefs, elders, like our tenant said, we're a community. We're here for each other. If something's frustrating you, talk it out. If you've got some really good ideas, talk it out. You know, sometimes, I don't know how many times I've had this really awesome idea and it sounded amazing, and then I tried to explain it to somebody and it just fell apart right there. And that's how I knew it really wasn't a good idea. It just seemed like it.
Yeah, when you can talk it through, when you put it on notes like that, it's a good way to use the elder team. And that's
absolutely.
what, to reiterate what Ufnar missed, was if you see somebody bringing up ideas in the scrolls and it's like a legitimate, okay, that's awesome, or holy crap, we missed that. You know, get one of us who can move those posts, and we should move them, because it's me and Storm Rider can, Ufnar can. We got a couple of us that can move posts out of the rulebook section. It's still kind of broken. Some sections even I can't get to sometimes.
Yeah, it's strange. There's only like one or two like subcategories on something I can't access. I'm like,
I fixed Storm Rider. He gave me the whole laundry list of all the things he couldn't access that I had to give him special permissions for, because what you don't, the scrolls are 5 years worth of building and building and building and building, and you know, permissions are changing and stuff keeps getting piled. So
we're gonna end up with a Neo in the system, man. That's what's gonna happen. Matrix reference. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought you said the other word, the bad N word.
No, Neo. You know, the one random line of code that became the one. But
you're making a
yeah,
plot line. You know that, right? You're talking to all the elders here.
Oh yeah, but I'm gonna have to cut it short for me. I've got a crap ton of stuff to get done before I hit the road in the morning. I'm so stoked about this event this weekend, and gonna kill lots of stuff.
We look forward to seeing some pictures, and you know, do some write-up and reviews. Talk to other elders. I know Greycore's got a whole bunch of stuff he wants to say. Blog posts. We're gonna try to get the blog back up and going. Give elders and give writers. If you blog like once a week or once every other week, and your blogs are good, like Trip Sinful, he blew me away with his tutorial on how to make a shield. And he started doing videos, and I'm like, okay, don't swear so much, and we can actually use those, but keep your humor, because you're freaking funny as heck, and you make fun of yourself, and you just, you know, you talk yourself through it, and it's entertaining to watch. Not only is it informative, but it's entertaining as hell. So I really hope, you know, I'm going to give him his own blog, his own channel, so he can control his own content, and you know, just write whatever he wants whenever he wants, and then he can subcategorize it in his blog, because he can make his own, you know, menu items and stuff, which any of you could do. We had that on LarpCast, and a few people did it, but you know, writing in blogs is actually a really, really important part of this thing. You know, because you lose stuff in the scrolls. You know, you need stuff to, like, if you see a good post and a good blogger can be like, oh, I'll just copy and paste that, you know, whatever. That, as long as it's easy to do. But so, yeah. Well, Ufnar, thanks for joining us. See you later.
Tons many praying this weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
How do I exit?
I don't know. I don't remember how to do it on the phone. So, anybody got anything else that you want to bring up? I mean,
well, on the connection of good ideas popping up on the forums like that, the celestial beam thing, it in itself is a good premise. PC wise, no. NPC wise and traits like that, yes. And like my personal thing, like, yeah, it worked perfectly. If for a world event, 2 celestial beings going back and forth like that, perfect. I think they misunderstood when I said celestial beings be a little bit too powerful, and they went the religious route. I'm like, no, they're celestial beings. They're not of mortal beings. And like the premise of that is perfect. Like having a demigod for reference, 2 demigods going against each other. We as the PCs have to battle for them. Perfect. Having a celestial being or a demigod being a PC, out of reach. And I think they mistook me saying, no, they're too powerful, as just shutting it down, which I was not trying to say at all. Like, I'd like the idea of a celestial being in the game, just not as somebody you can be.
yeah, I mean, we brought demons into Esker Elmholm, a few other places. I mean, the demon part worked well. I mean, they're just costume-wise, they're simple, and we didn't give them like any abilities that weren't in the system. I don't think. Did we? I don't think we did.
Well, one thing we did for Elmholm, and I mainly talked to Wookie, who's Gra on the forums of this. When we were thinking of what to do for our NPCs, is, I mean, when you're making NPCs, lore-wise, you can make them whatever the heck you want them to be. But it's the powers you give them is where you kind of have to be careful, because you can't. When we made them for Elmholm, they're different than the demons that people might have saw at Esker, which is what we wanted. We didn't want them to be the same demons from Esker, but they were still demons. They were just different demons. So when we made our NPCs for Elmholm, we literally took skills out of the rulebook, and like Marie, who plays Olgra, she was a fairy advisor. So we were like, okay, what skills does she need, without making her completely overpowered to the point where PCs might look at it and go, that is just completely ridiculous. Well, we gave her part, I think, mage and part other. We basically cross-classed her without making it completely out of the ordinary cross-classed. And you got to think, when you're making NPCs, you have to make it almost legitimate. It's not very possible to do it in some cases. Like, we wanted to give our fairies, I think, Soul Strike and Spirit, because they were the Fairy King's guards. You know, they have to be beefed up and strong and stuff. But fairies can't be warriors, and they can't be barbarians. So we're like, okay, well, we're gonna make them these fairy dust addicted humans then, because then they can be warriors and they can be barbarians. So when we make, and I think when you make NPCs, you gotta kind of think in the realm of, lore-wise, you can make them whatever you want, just like your character. You can say you are this amazing, you can do all these amazing things, but you gotta kind of think, well, what abilities make them more balanced? With these celestial beings, you can call them celestial beings, and you can say they're from wherever, and you can say they're demigods, but you gotta, I would really suggest looking at the rulebook and kind of giving them actual abilities from the rulebook, or even just, modifying them a little bit, but not to the point where they're completely out of range if they're going to break the game. Because the minute you break the game is when that PC is way too out of range powerful.
Yeah, good point. And the way you could have done like the fairies with Soul Strike is create a sub-race of fairy or something that wouldn't really be competing with the PC's fairy. It'd be something else that's like a fairy, but it's not. I don't know, something. Then you could do Soul Strike and stuff on a fairy. I mean, as long as you're using the same kind of, because the thing is, people are going to memorize those skills that are in the system. But when you're an NPC and you're a game writer, you can take any of those skills and mix them up. But if they totally don't make sense, you got to have a backstory for either why that, why is that? So, and if it's too powerful, like Kyler said, you don't want your players revolting. We played a game like that at the Vale, where all of us as PCs, I mean, they brought through everybody with Soul Strike, came in, and they were like, we're gonna F up the village, and we're gonna kill everybody. Well, okay, but when half of them are doing skills, they're trying to build up and they're trying to do the quest, and all of a sudden you just come in and just eradicate the entire village. In some cases, that's okay. I mean, if it's, but it didn't. It felt like they just wanted to make sure that everybody was in their place. It felt mean. It didn't feel like there was no reason. There was no lore behind it. There was nothing. It was just, we're tired of being NPCs and we're just going to kill everybody. So it made the PCs in the game. It changed the whole game felt bad after that. You couldn't recover after you screwed everybody like that from the PC standpoint. So a lot of us as elders, when we do the NPCs, we do adaptive NPCs. So basically, the NPC will adapt to the player. So if you know they're a total noob or they can't fight for poo, the NPC dumbs it down a little bit. So it's still, it's not a total wax, if you will. Yes. But those are other things we can talk about in the elder section. I think that, those are the things that will make us better game promoters. That'll be, better elders if we can, you don't want to handicap everybody. If there's a, triple wrapped, gray banded NPC, well, yeah, if you're dumb enough to fight him or her, you're totally going to get waxed. But to just come in and just eradicate an entire village for no reason, with no lore and no story and nothing behind it, just because you want to screw with everybody, that probably will, you might lose half your players. And maybe that's not a big deal to you, but that's sure a big deal to most colonies. So, those are all things we can talk about. I haven't really seen it too much past that, but
we did a similar thing with the adaptive thing for Elmholm too. For the very beginning, our tenant was there, but we literally took the people. We're like, you are literally traveling from point A to point B. So you gotta load all your stuff on this cart, and you gotta truck it through a forest to where you're gonna be making base camp. And we had a ton of bandits. We weren't sure if the ratio was right or not, but we basically said you're gonna be bandits. So, forest living people, probably barbarians. So we were like, well, we're not gonna really give you any high powered spells or anything. But we thought, well, Ronan's gonna be there, and he's got that giant freaking shield. And then we were like, well, if there's a ton, we wanted to beat the crap out of these people. We wanted them to feel like we were constantly charging at them and trying to get their stuff.
We got wasted. But that was part of the lore, and it was written up. We knew it was going to be tough. Good chance we're not going to survive, and the cart almost didn't make it.
Yeah. And it was one of the adaptive things we had to do is we talked it over, and if you see a ton of shield, if we have a shield wall in front of us, it's going to be impossible to get them that feeling that we're just banging on their shields, nothing's going to happen. So you have to make a split decision of, all right, now a couple of us, not everyone, but a couple of us have cleave now. Because if no one has cleave in that entire NPC party, nothing is going to happen. All you're going to be doing is just whacking at shields, and nothing's going to happen. So you kind of need to look. I guess on the NPC part, it's metagaming, but when you're an NPC, it's like a borderline. You need to make decisions whether or not you make the players have a good time or not. We wanted them to feel like they were in danger, so we were gonna destroy all their armor and destroy all their shields if it happened, and we had cleave, and it made them feel like that. So you need to make split decisions with your NPCs and on the fly whether or not you're gonna get these abilities, but you can't make them overpowered again. You can never make the PCs feel like crap about it. There's a fine line between making them feel like crap game-wise and crap lore-wise. So
you guys did a good job of posting that lore. You had a good plan together. You adjusted the NPCs on the fly, very well. So even though the PCs, because and I was with the PC group the entire time, and we got pounded, but everybody's having fun. Everybody knew it was going to be tough, and there was a story behind everything that was happening. So it wasn't unexpected. You're going through the woods, you're with the cart. The backstory was Rorian's, helpers were all dead. Everybody was dying. We're here to help. Obviously, we're going to get smoked a lot. But it was fun. It was done the right way. And I'm not talking just my personal experience. I was listening to everybody around me, and though everybody was massively hot, dehydrated, and really, putting up a fight, nobody was complaining about, oh, this sucks. God, nobody was like, there was no sense of overwhelming, why am I even playing? There's no chance of, whatever. And I think it also really helped that they put a spawn point at the wagon. So you could die a lot. And then you had to wait for 10 minutes to res. So, I mean, there's no way you're going to get back into whatever was happening. But it gave you a sense of ease that you could go out there and really just give it your all because, you know, there was no mats. There was no, you know, Keldor lost most of his mana in the third turn. So there, you know, there's no way to we didn't have too many healers. So, and they did it and you did it at the camp too. The camp, there was a spawn point, the main part of the village. So because there's not a lot of healers, you know, and if we had 15 or 20 clerics and friars and whatever that can do resurrection and everybody has enough mats, you know, the colony would have to give enough mats. If, you know, that would be like a larger game scenario. If the PCs can handle their own, you could back away or make that spawn point take longer, or, you know, you can adjust the game to whatever the PC level is. And you start to know that when they pre-register or when you get into registration. Not, Kyler, you, at the beginning, you had a lot of NPCs going into the woods. Did I see correctly that you kind of pulled some of them out of that role and put some of them into the PC or to help the PCs?
No, all of our NPCs except for Marie was with you. She was an NPC. Technically, Grey Core was an NPC, and he was with you guys. And then Wookie and technically the only PCs that weren't with us were Wookie and Rebecca. Everyone else was, and then Grey Core who was with you, but everyone else was in the forest with us.
Okay. It was very overwhelming as a PC when you have like 8 PCs and then you see this horde of 20 NPCs heading into the woods. I mean, you can't help but metagame that because it's like, holy crap.
We split into different parts of the forest to like cut you guys up, and like Gord was in one camp, like one part, and I was in one part, and we all had radios. So we're all like where are they now, and are they over there? And we were coordinating, like we're gonna hit you on one side, and they're gonna hit you on another. And then, you know, Grey Core, he's the guy that's been stabbing people this entire time before you guys got here. So he's there, like, you know, coordinating, well, who am I gonna shank next when they walk to the side. So I think his end count of how many people he shanked that day was, I think, around 5 he got at the end of the day. So
we had a unique situation also come up where the House of the Iron Ring was out looking for the wagon wheel, and our whole camp went. We didn't leave anybody at the camp. All our loot chests were sitting there. They were, I mean, they were, all of them were locked. But I didn't enchant. Bucky didn't enchant. Nobody trapped. So, I mean, they were just simply locked. And bandits came through and ripped through our stuff. And they took some mats. They left some stuff. They, like, didn't, like, wipe everybody out. They, like, tried to make it so you didn't know. But if you counted your stuff, you knew. But it wasn't, like, a total annihilation. But then what Nicholas Farsier did is once he went through and did that, he knew all the combinations to everything. He switched into his PC, went and did it as his PC and wiped everybody out afterward. Which, you know, whatever. I mean, but he did it himself, and then he bragged about it in the town. And one of the people that were trying to get into the ring was there, tattled on him, and then he was mincemeat. He got ganged up on, but I mean, we still tried to do it right. We didn't kill him. We left it to the Fairy King to tell us, and the Fairy King's like, hey, you're going to have consequences if you do what you do. So it was still you know, the PC had to decide, you know, and it could go very good or bad. But taking matters into your own hands in a village setting, you know, it was very interesting. It was good role play, and nobody knew what was going to happen next, and everything was really a choose your own adventure at that point. There was no story or script as to, okay, if we kill this person for looting us and selling all our mats, taking the gold, and then running with it, what's going to happen? So it was very interesting to see. But he knew as soon as he saw us walking up the hill, he was trying to get ready because he knew he was going to be in trouble. But Nicholas has been playing with us for a while, and he's pretty good about being able to, you know, do something like that. But that's something from an elder standpoint. Watch out who's NPCing, because they just, you know, in my opinion, he may have, and again, I don't care, but if you got a player who's more sensitive to that, and they figured out that, oh, he was part of the NPC group that went through before, now he came in as his PC and really wiped this out because he knew all the lock combos and he could do it quickly. That might be a situation of, you know, just try to watch that, you know, that may cross some borders in some games. Again, we didn't care, but I'm just trying to think from a larger scale of things that may have seemed like cheating, but you know, from a game eldering aspect, I don't know that there's anything he could have done anyway. I don't even know if the elders knew that he was the one doing it. I don't think anybody did, but
No, we didn't. All we knew is that all of a sudden we were all like, well, they found out he got your stuff. And then, you know, they pulled me aside and they were like, well, should we let him kill him? And we're like, well, fairies like it when, you know, like mischievous people and everything. But if he's stupid enough to brag that he stole from you guys, then that was probably not a smart decision on his part. So.
yeah. And we didn't, you know, we figured he learned his lesson. We scared the crap out of him. We waylaid him, looted him, made him feel bad about himself for a while as his character. And it was fun. I mean, it was fun just to play around. And we were constantly monitoring, you know, players. From a player aspect, we were constantly trying to monitor, like, okay, make sure that this is not turning into a bullying thing out of character. You know, it was very lighthearted and, you know, keeping distance and stuff. But, you know, some players are going to have problems with that, where you're bullying as your character and people are taking it personally. You know, like Kyler and I could just kill each other, scream at each other, you know, just create a ton of drama from character to character. And then, you know, okay, pause, hold, you know, boom, give her hugs. You know, the character is the character, not the person. So I think it would be good to show more players how to turn it on and off like that, and to do more practice sessions at practices of, okay, now I want you guys to be really mad at each other. You know, as your character, what could you do to get under each other's skin? Okay, now turn it off. And show other people that you can just, like, turn it off. Some people are not as good at role players like that.
Really quick about practices. I had practice a week or two ago now, and I hadn't done anything with the LARP for a bit because I just get done with school and stuff, and I was enjoying my summer vacation. But I got put on Facebook. I got people say, all right, okay, I'll come to that. You know, I put it at like 9 o'clock in the morning. But then the day it happens, like, I expect people to show up late a little bit, but then like by 12 o'clock, there's no one there, and I have to leave. Is there something I should do different to plan it, or like get people to know, or make people remember to come? And also, what are good things to, like, specific things to do at practices?
First off, when you schedule a practice, you should try to schedule it at least 2 weeks in advance. Give people enough time to get there. Okay. Sometimes, though, like, I'm notorious for this. I'll be like, hey, let's do a practice. And I'll just bring 12 people. Because it's just, you know, we do it by phone. And then some people are like, well, you post the pictures on Facebook, everybody had a great time. It's like, well, what the hell? You know, I came, but I don't, you know, you're not on my personal network, you know. And if you do stuff like that, you'll start making people upset, or you'll get nobody there. You can't rely on Facebook on the opposite side of that. Let's say you schedule it out a month and a half in advance. Well, people say that they come, and like the World event and some of the other events that we posted, you know, we had a schedule for 2014 by January. Everybody knew what everybody was doing the whole year because we had to have the marketing material done. You schedule things out that far in advance, people who say that they're coming don't remember, or it's buried in their Facebook. And if you don't keep reminding them and keep posting in that event and stuff, half the people or 3/4 of the people that say they're coming don't even remember it. You know, it's not a big deal. So there is a really fine line, and it depends on age group. It depends on where you are located in the world. It depends on who uses what social media and who uses calendars. We suck at using calendars, like Google calendars. If you look at everybody's calendars, you know, I don't know, for 2015, I'd really like to make a vote to everybody just use the same calendar. You know, just make it on the LarpCraft calendar. That way, when everybody goes to it, I mean, that LarpCraft calendar will be in everybody's area. But when somebody clicks on the calendar to look at something, there's stuff there. You know, nothing's worse than people going like, oh, they're jazzed, and they go to your colony, and all of a sudden there's nothing on the calendar. You know?
Yeah. Or
So
maybe both. Like, you have your own calendar and you have the big one. Just what I've been trying to do, but I haven't done much, so.
Right. Yeah, it's really easy on Google to do it, but people don't do it. So either we use one calendar, maybe we just take the calendar out. Be like, look on the Facebook page or read in the scrolls, you know. Don't look at a calendar, because if nobody's using the calendar, we got to take it out. But
I use it. Does that count?
it does. I mean, it'd be good to know who uses that calendar. Like Narlug, he can't even figure out how to use a calendar. So I still have to get down to Milwaukee and try to like sit with him and his wife and try to, you know, be like, okay, here's how it works. Will they use it? I don't know. You know, but I offered. I said, you know, if you need me to come down there, I'll help you. Chris, or I can't think of his character name. Grot. Yeah, he you know, he could do it. Alex could probably do it, or Kyler could probably do it. I mean, just some people, you know, Gray Core has problems with it sometimes. I mean, there's only so much technology you can take, and you know, we try to do a lot of these other stuff, and we do a lot of these other social medias, and we try stuff out, but you know, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the site. I mean, you can try the other ones if you want. It's hit or miss on Meetup. It's hit or miss on some of the other stuff, but you know, just don't try to like post at one place one time and one place another time, and you become impossible to find. So, but when it comes to what do you do at a practice, there's a lot of things you can do. You know, trying to do like battle practices, do like, how do you do like the wardrobe stuff? Go over like sections of the rule book and be like, okay, at this practice, we're going to take a in-depth look at orcs, and we're going to practice the abilities for orcs. You know, this time we're going to do the profession of friar. We're going to take a look at, you know, it's like take sections of the book and just be like, okay, in this practice session, we're going to hammer these out and see if anybody has any questions. You do it enough times, and eventually you've practiced the entire book. And at least somebody who is there can answer somebody else's question because they did it. We're going to, ideally, we would like to have a video for each thing, like we do in Magic. That was cool. It actually worked. But we're still trying to figure, like I could probably do it for the races, but like I can't do it for the classes or the professions yet. Probably in 2015 I can, because I think this will probably be the last, if anything passes, you know, whatever happens at like 2015, I don't foresee rulebook changes being, everything's going to have to be subtle after that, because the way colonies are coming in, the way elders are coming in, the way, you know, I just don't see many major changes anymore, because we're getting to be so big of a group, you can't do that anymore. And if anybody would try, I mean, if we like revamp something, it's going to happen what happened with Amtgard and Nero. You know, they were all Nero, and they just got pissed off, and Amtgard, I mean, they just split because, you know, people couldn't agree. But those were, you know, head honchos, you know, kind of stuff. So trying to prevent that as much as we can.
Well, that's one of the benefits that I like with Meineke is Tuesday nights we have armor making. That's pretty much open to leather, metal. We practice sometimes. We just talk about things. And having the SCA guys, they give us historical things, which more dives us into the immersion of it, because they know historically and we know fantasy, and you show them together, and it's this incredible outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And on Thursdays, that's why Taylor, I can't remember his character's name, but that's where he is right now. Meander. He's with a couple of the other members practicing right now. And I was the only one because I got out of work late to show up, and I told him I'm going to the meeting, and he's like, "Fine, I'll read it afterwards." So we keep ourselves practicing throughout the week and crafting throughout the week. That usually, if anybody's like, "Well, what are you doing this day?" It's concrete. This is what we do every single week.
Right. Keeping it consistent is also a big part of it. So if you're going to schedule practices, try to keep them like every other week at exactly the same time, at exactly the same location. You'll build a audience that doesn't even have to look at anything anymore. They just know, oh, it's the second Tuesday of the month. That's LARP. You build it past what would be otherwise done. So those are some suggestions that you can try. You're also, Zamon, you're in Hayward, right? So I mean, you're way up there.
Yeah.
So your player base isn't as high either.
No.
So those are things you got to kind of realize that you'd like to have 20 people at a practice, and that's going to take some time. With you're located in a sparsely populated area.
We get tourists though, which helps a lot. And I got one more question. So at the moment we don't put up like flyers or anything for when we do events, and because we're afraid we won't be able to handle it if there's too many people, or we'll put too much work in and there won't be enough people or something like that. So at the moment it's just like kind of my group of friends and any of their friends that want to come. I mean, like, what point should we really push for people we don't know coming to our LARPs?
That's up to your group.
All
right. Ask your players, ask your elders, ask people that are players who could be elders. Be like, if we're going to bring in tourists and other stuff, we need more elders and we need more equipment because they're not going to come with stuff. But you're absolutely right. That area is very good with tourism, and you could, if the Chambers of Commerce knew you could offer something that was relatively fun to do and safe, they would even probably help promote it.
Okay. Let's see. One last question. Going about making other players like elders for my colony, how do I do that? Because I have people that I think might, be helpful in areas, but I don't know how to go along and, really, show them the way to help or get them to help.
Elders, and I've learned this the hard way, so I got a lot of experience about what not to do. Just because they want to be an elder because it's a status thing, totally wrong way to do it. If they are coming to games and they are consistently helping and they know the rules like better than you, if they are, they got the enthusiasm, they got the drive, approach them to see if they want to be part of the team. But it should come out as something in game. Well, like at a game, like they have to prove to you, like you're going to know they're the right stuff because they're helping you, because, most elders are already elders before they're elders, if that makes any sense.
It does little.
They're showing the elder attributes. They shouldn't just be like on the scrolls, hey, I want to be an elder. I promise I'll help. Don't do it that way, because I did that way and that doesn't work.
And I'm afraid that like my player base is too small, and I have people who, they'd make pretty good players, but I'm like they're the best I'll get for people to help me and be elders. Like, is there a good way, like, to go along and make people that might not originally be elders into elders, so to speak?
Ask them.
Okay.
Like a lot of times, what we'll do is we'll make elders so that they'll get in for free. They'll have maybe more XP or something because they're elders. I don't know. There's a couple of different ways to. I mean, you become the admin. You have the decision when you're an elder, and you're rolling. If there's a fight or something happens, elders can say, "That's it, you're out," or you're sitting out. I'm an elder. You got it. I mean, that's the way it is. So they're the refs if they can do it. And that's another thing I'd really like to practice more around here and get Norhaven together and be like, okay, we're going to do an elder practice. And at the elder practice, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about disgruntled players. We're going to do scenarios of how to handle it. We'll film it for future reference and notes for other elders. You know, those are the types of things that would be really good practice. And like Norhaven has a lot of experience in a lot of different games. You know, collectively, there's, you know, years and years and years of experience. So there's enough of like, okay, what's the worst thing you've ever seen at a game? Let's do that and practice it. And, you know, so those are things that you can do. But getting the first couple of elders is hard. You know, because people are intimidated. They're not, you know, like, for instance, Keldor. He doesn't really consider himself an elder. He's like, I don't want the responsibility. You know, he doesn't feel comfortable handling confrontation or something, you know. So I was just he never said any of those things. I was just saying that, just use him as an example. But, you know, when we first started this thing, elders were like, hey, cool, be an elder, help us out. And it was more like a volunteer thing. Well, now elders is a real thing. You know, they have background checks and it's real. I mean, it's a thing. And going back to what you can do, practice your role play. I saw at the game at Elholm, I like saw some of our elders in our own group, like, man, you got to turn that off, like that attitude. Like, are you playing you or are you playing your character? It's coming across goofy. So how do you do the role play? How do you get into your character? You know, it'd be really beneficial to do sessions like that. Like, how would your character respond? You know, we talked a lot about this stuff in blogs and in LarpCast and stuff, but it doesn't mean two craps until you do it. You know, so running scenarios like that and trying to keep yourself in character. You know, our tenant broke a role play barrier that now, and it's probably to blame because I also play an undead as my alt. And that's a problem of playing an alt, because now your two characters start to combine. Because I'm so excited to play the alt, never got to play it. I brought some devilish stuff into our tenant. So it's like, oh crap, now I screwed up my character because I'm playing two characters. So those are things that you got to watch. And as a player in the game, you know, that really bothered me a lot. Like, I didn't really tell that to anybody, but, you know, beating the crap out of that character Greycord played, and then somebody cut off his head. I took his head off and I drank the blood out of his skull as a paladin. Yeah, and I'm all in black. And what?
He was demon possessed.
Oh, he was demon possessed, right. Yeah. So, I mean, if I go with the story, I could probably make that put together. But until you just told me that, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I came a little late on that one.
And he was Kylar's dead master, too.
Oh. Yeah. All I saw him do was try to take out Kylar, and I was like, because I knew you were playing your PC at that point. Yeah. But, you know.
I think only two people afterwards knew that he was Kylar's master. I think Rory and Devlin knew. And I think a couple people caught on that he was demon possessed. But then afterwards, I'm watching. I'm like, oh crap, he just did that. And I was like, I wonder if he knows. I'm gonna let this play out and let him figure that out himself.
Because like he died, and our tenant just kept. I mean, he was on the ground, pounding on the dead body, ripping his flesh off. I mean, like stuff that the undead would do, not the human paladin would do. You know, so I done screwed that all up.
Okay, one last quick question. For admission, do I have to charge, or can I just like let people in for free because there's like 5 of us?
No, you don't have to charge.
All right.
But know that if you don't charge and you keep doing free games, you're going to get people who never pay. And eventually it'll become to the point where you're going to keep funding it yourself, and it's going to burn you out financially, and it's going to burn you out emotionally. You know, we did free games for 2 years, you know, where I was self-funding the brats. yeah, it's definitely some good. You know, these are things we want you to bring up. You know, how do we make better games? How do we get more people? And Simone, you asked the right questions. That's, if anybody has any questions like that, post them in the forums, bring them up at the meetings. We can talk about them. Private message any of us, because a lot of us have experience. People have more experience than I do. I got a lot of promoting experience and that kind of stuff, but from a LARPing standpoint, I'm 5 years in, so I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable expert on the LARP scene. So I'm learning too. I try to watch all the other groups. I'm a part of a lot of different groups, and I listen. I see what works. I'm just, oh wow, they're doing this. That's cool. Let's see how that works, and just keep taking notes and see what works best for you. The one thing I wish we had more people do is come to registration in a timely manner. And I look, and some others think, well, they're LARPers and they're just always going to be late. I don't know if I buy that. If you get, you kind of start to train your players. We're like, hey, if you're there, you got to be there at that time, or what? Something. It's always hard to say, well, you can't play. But at what point do you allow somebody to come in 3 hours late?
I would make it. I would think that it would make it feel a little more like realistic. Like, you're not going to have a big group of like 50 people show up at some place at 9 o'clock in the morning and all leave at the same time. So I personally would think that like people flowing in over like a 3-hour period of time and maybe leaving early and stuff would make it feel more realistic, or just make it seem more, I don't know.
No, yeah, trying to get people there early and be like, hey, game's on at 9. And I like the way how Elmhome was, where it was so in the back, like, okay, we're rolling. Registration's closed because the freaking clubhouse is locked up, or I don't know if that's how it really was, but it was cool how the venue was like, everything moves to the back, and if you come, it's a desert. If you don't know where the people are, good luck.
I kind of had, with Narlock says, I was like, LARPers are extremely pokey. So everything we kind of planned for that event, I always had a little bit of stretch of time where I think I said the game started at like 9 or something like that, but really I meant the game was going to start at like 9:30, like registration was going to start at 9:30. So I kind of always, in that game, I accounted for, we didn't know how long it was going to take people to get through that darn forest. We were like, it might take them an hour, it might take them half an hour, it might take them 2 hours. We weren't sure. So we kind of always accounted for general pokiness of players. So we kind of put in, for registration, we put in like an extra half an hour for people to show up, or, an extra hour for them to get through the forest, or an extra half an hour for lunch or crap like that. I think that's a good idea to generally put in a little extra time. Say it's early, and then you aren't as disappointed if people don't show up exactly on time, because then in your head you're planning for a different time anyway. So that's how we did it anyway. It turned out all right. Everyone was on time. They just didn't know it. So.
Did you ever run into problems where like you had too much time, like, and people were just kind of like standing around waiting for something to happen? It's like I've only had one event, so I don't know if this will persist, but I didn't quite, the things I had didn't take them long enough to occupy people. So like little more than halfway through, people started like just sit down playing cards, just humanity and stuff, and if like it got off topic. That happened at all with adding extra time, or did you find a way to combat that?
Absolutely. Something we thought was going to take like 2 hours took 10 minutes. I've run into that a lot. Sometimes like, oh, this is never going to fly. So all the groups, well, guess what? All the groups banded up into one freaking group. You have a group of 20 people. They're unstoppable. I don't care how many NPCs you have. 20 group of anything. You know, you take 50. It takes 50 NPCs to bring them down. So, yeah, I've definitely had that. Quests that were supposed to take a really long time took no time at all. So as the other team, what we do is we have a contingency plan in play. So from any games here on out, it was, you know, let's have a backup couple of quests. We have a backup couple of NPCs. We wrote them down. They're on the character sheets. So if we have to roll them, they're ready. But we're not going to put them in the game so we don't put too much stuff in that can't be done. And you could do it. I mean, you could put a bunch of stuff in and half of it doesn't work. All right, record what doesn't work, record what doesn't happen, and use it for the next game. You know, that way your efforts will still be there. I mean, there's so many times. Oh my gosh, there's so many times. We had, you know, we literally set quests up for 3 days. We've had 50 quests. People did 14 of them. It was to the point where we couldn't even recover all the quest items in the same day. So, you know, we've done it where we didn't have enough. We've done it where we've had too much. So it will backfire. If you host enough games, it's going to backfire, and it's not going to go the way you want it to go. So if you plan for it, you know, have the oh shit chest, and be like, oh, time to go to the oh shit chest. Open it up. We need some more stuff. But we're also trying to come up with a way from a PC standpoint, be like, okay, if things are starting to suck and you're getting bored, switch to your alt. Eventually, we're trying to get that to do that. We're doing it kind of with some of the elders. It's proving a lot harder than what you think it would be. And the switch over between the two characters, melding, you know, crossing over, not having all your right spells and abilities. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to bring two characters into the same game. And then trying to approve the elders, make sure that they're cool with it. But like at a few of the events we did, it's like, hey, we're going to pull you out. You're going to go to your alt. You know, try to make something that's opposite that will stir stuff up. You know, and some people make characters just to do that. But they're characters. They're actually characters. So those are just a couple examples of how to handle that. But by no means is that the right formula. So if you have any suggestions, write them in the scrolls for the elders. And with the game scenarios, that would be some really good stuff to put in there.
One thing we did at our Elmham game was if you want to make it so that the players are doing stuff without them really noticing that they're not doing stuff, give them quest busy work. You know, just make them do random crap in there. They won't realize that they're not really doing anything prevalent to the game, but they think they will. So we had, I was really terrible about, I really didn't have a lot of quests written out for this game, but I gave almost all of the NPCs, I didn't have enough time to make them, so we just grabbed a bunch of construction paper and clipped them out, and I'm like, here's some coupons, and they're going to be the king, we had a fairy king, and they're going to be the king's favor. Make them go out into the forest and get freaking firewood, because we need firewood, and you're going to give them a coupon, that's going to be experience. Or we had the group where the bastards have this cart, and that's what we made them bring the stuff in. And that entire first stretch was all just busy work to try and stretch time. Or it was, we had Narlog, he was this crazy miner dude that was basically supposed to go and make the PCs. We had these giant cushions, basically, that the players were supposed to put in the cart, and then he was just going to be like, bring it there. No, I think they like it if they're over there. But the PCs, I don't know what he did to piss them off, but he said something wrong, and it just turned into them instead just chasing him for like a half an hour instead. So, I mean, basically, if you want the PCs to do something, just give them general busy work. It doesn't have to be, you know, this long written out quest or something like that. Fetch quests, I personally hate fetch quests, but only if they have absolutely nothing to do with your story. Like, if they're prevalent to the lore that you have in your game, write out like a million freaking fetch quests, but because then you're getting your players busy. You know, you have them going around the trails, walking around, which if it's big enough, the walking the trails themselves, like Esker, it takes us like 45 minutes to walk around those trails in Esker. So now you have them walking 45 minutes to find something, and they have to find something and walk all the way back. That's a good hour and a half to walk around. So if you give the players busy work in a quest, you're going to make them busy. You're going to give them something to do. And, you know, they generally can't screw up walking around, hopefully. So if you want to make your players do something, just make something up and make them feel like they're doing something prevalent to your story. If you're basically telling them to find this random gem that has absolutely nothing to do with the lore of your story, I can guarantee you that they're probably going to get bored of that really darn fast. So I've heard a lot of people that get bored of that pretty fast. Make sure it's prevalent to what you're doing, and they'll feel more immersed with the story.
Good. Okay. Is there anything else anybody have? I mean, this was a great session. This was a great session. And that's what these elder meetings are all about. You know, this is good stuff. If anybody else doesn't have anything else, I mean, we can probably end the meeting, and we can see if I can edit it up quick before the end night's done and get it on the YouTube or get it on the Elder Scrolls for others to watch now that the quest is over and people are going to come in. Yeah. Oh, what time is it?
About 8:30, 8:46.
What brought Rog and Matt in?
The end of work, I'm guessing.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if there's nothing else. We can save it for the next elder meeting. If anybody comes up with something and you want to talk about something before the end of the month, you know, we try to just have them at least the end of the month. But if somebody wants to talk about something before the end of the month, just post it in the scrolls and we can put another meeting together to talk about a specific topic, not just an overview of like what's happening like we do at the end of the month meetings. Sounds like a plan. All right. This has been another elder meeting for LarpCraft Myths and Legends. I'm Mark Tennant, and this has been the July 2014 elder meeting. Thanks for watching.